Bonsoir et bienvenue pour l'autre programme. Tantôt, nous avons une discussion tête à tête avec M. Robin Johnstone, candidat présidentiel pour sa prochaine élection, et entrer dans la scène politique avec une vision pour SSL plus fort et plus 10. M. Johnstone, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Comment ça va?
Bien, merci. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure.
I'd like to speak in English, if that's possible.
That is okay with us.
Yeah.
Maybe to start off, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Robin Johnstone. I've been in Seychelles for many, many years. My mother is a Payette, and she worked for BOAC originally. So I went to school at the primary school in Seychelles College. Jean-François Farrer was my classmate as well, and a few other people. And then I went to England, and then came back after all these years, and I've been in and out quite often.
And you've been a cook as well.
A cook or a chef. I mean, there's a difference. There's a big difference, you know.
Okay.
So, but yes, chefing was a big part of my life in Japan, yeah.
And then you came back to Seychelles.
I came back to Seychelles thinking that maybe, you know, Japanese cuisine would be great for the Seychelles because we've got a lot of fish.
It didn't work out.
Well, it wasn't ready. We didn't have there was a lot of things that weren't ready for that kind of cuisine. First of all, we didn't have the rice. We didn't have a lot of ingredients we didn't have. We couldn't get here. And that would mean importing, and that would make it just very expensive. But now, today, you can get a lot of the ingredients today to make a few dishes, especially like sushi. So in that sense, yeah.
Mr. Johnstone, you are now the presidential candidate for this coming up election. And in all your interviews, you've been speaking in English. And there's been some concerns out there that he wants to be the next president of Seychelles, but he's not speaking Creole. And you've grown up in Seychelles. Can you tell us about that? Why?
It's not, it's not, I can't speak Creole. I'm not fluent. You know, sometimes when I'm sitting with friends and we're talking Creole, then there's no problem. But when it becomes like more of official, then I prefer to speak in my language, the language that I'm used to. I mean, when I was a small boy playing, when we went to school at the college and all that, we were all speaking Creole. But then you go overseas for a while, and then you forget it, and then you come back, and then you remember it, and then you come back.
And you start thinking only in English.
And then it gets a bit confusing.
I get you. I get you. Okay, so what pivotal moment or personal experience convinced you into this political arena of Seychelles presidential race?
If I can say that when I've been looking at what's going on, slowly we've been eroding our sovereignty. Slowly our country is being taken over by foreign influences. And we're kind of losing our culture, our heritage. I mean, when I remember it from before, when I was a child, we had tourism. Tourism was developed to create jobs for Seychelles back in the day. That's where we had Beauvanant, we had Reef Hotel, we had Coral Strand, we had Fisherman's Cove, and then we had Mahi Beach. These were all hotels designed and built to, of course, to bring tourism here, but it was also designed to create jobs for Seychelles. I mean, if you looked at how many people had jobs in those hotels that were foreigner, you could count on one hand. They were management.
The time has passed, right?
Right, they were all Seychelles. So what's happened to that? It's now you've got mostly foreigners working in the hotels and a handful of Seychelles. I don't see that as helping our people at all. And I feel that we're losing our own country and our own culture and our own sovereignty to that. And so we need to get it back. We need to bring it back into perspective.
So this kind of moved you?
Yeah, because I kept on seeing that we're just losing it all the time, you know.
And how has your family responded to your decision about running for president?
Well, I've always been kind of behind the scenes. When it was SMP, I was always behind the scenes. I was always helping with whatever they needed. I was even offered a position, the M&A for Roshkheimer. But I just said, no, look, I prefer to help behind the scenes. So I knew everybody, you know, and that's as much as the politics that I got into, because I was doing other businesses, my own businesses as well. So I didn't want to get into the politics, but I would help any way I can. And now that I've seen that the things are going in the wrong direction, I'm saying, whoa, hang on a minute. This is not what I wanted, and this is not what a lot of people want. So I'm bringing back the days when we had a stronger opposition. And that opposition is now fading. It's become like the US or the Parti Le Pep. LDS has become the same. They're the same thing. The party politics in this country is destroying our sovereignty. It's dividing our people. For me to become an independent candidate means that I'm trying to bring neutrality into the
But
picture.
what makes you say that we are losing our sovereignty?
Well, if you look at globalism, if you look at the New World Order, you have to look at it outside as well, because we have people going overseas all the time who are working in government, and they're getting the globalist agenda. 2030 is a globalist agenda.
So it's not Seychelles only?
It's not just Seychelles only, it's everywhere. And that's why you'll see that there's a war between the globalists or the World Economic Forum, all these unelected people trying to take over the world.
But if you become in power,
Yes.
you would not join with the world?
Not as a globalist. Because we need our individuality in each country. Each country has its own cultures, it has its own uniqueness, and what everybody's trying to do is trying to mash it all up into one world order. I don't think we are ready for one world order. Maybe in 1,000 years' time, because people can travel around and then mix marriages, and slowly it will integrate. But I think we're about 1,000 years too early for a global order, like what is being sought after now. And I don't agree with that.
As a newcomer in politics, well, not in politics as such, because you said that you were always with another party, but now you're coming alone by yourself, right? So what personal vulnerabilities or doubts maybe you have confronted, or how do you prepare yourself mentally or emotionally for this intense presidential campaign that is coming?
The pressures that I get as an independent candidate is I don't get enough coverage. So I've only got Facebook. I had a YouTube channel. It was called Seychelles Islands. And because I spoke against or said something about the WHO, they dropped my channel, they cut it off, they kicked me off. So I don't have YouTube anymore. So I could voice my opinion. So now I go to Rumble, and it's more of a freedom of speech. But trying to get the message out is a little bit difficult. But if you go grassroots, and if you start talking to the people around you on the streets or at the beach or wherever, they all have the same kind of problem when they're looking at politics today. And a lot of people are now fed up with politics, especially party politics. There's nothing new in party politics. What we have today is recycled politicians. And nothing's new coming out of them at all. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Now that I've announced my candidacy, and hopefully more programs like this that I can get on and explain to people that we need more diversity in politics, and we need younger people to join in politics and have more of a critical thinking attitude. What will benefit the country and not the international arena. We're too small.
Are you maybe working on your government if ever you are elected as the president of Seychelles?
All the time. All the time. I've non-stop thinking about who can I choose for this section or that. There are a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of talent out there, and we need to tap into it. The unfortunate thing about Seychelles is we don't tap into our own natural talent. And our people that have gone overseas to study and come back and actually can contribute a lot. But it's replaced by foreign GOPs. And then you end up with Seychelles who train the GOPs. And who's sitting with a car and a house and all the benefits. And the Seychelles are sort of sitting here second-hand, citizens.
Mr. Johnstone, what unique leadership qualities distinguish you from all the other presidential candidates out there?
Well, I'm glad a lot of them are saying what I'm saying. The uniqueness is what I'm saying on my old podcast. I've got 59 podcasts. And they're all kind of like following what I'm saying, like animal welfare. Mr. Santage was starting to talk about animal welfare. So obviously I've got vision and I've got some direction. What we need is vision and direction. And I find that all our party politicians and independents don't have enough vision. They don't know which direction to go. They don't know which direction to go. But if you can have a vision of where you'd like to take the country. I mean, look at our youth today. If we can get them their sea legs and do some maritime, maybe some national service kind of form of discipline for them as well.
I heard in one of your interviews you said that. Do you think it's possible to do this in this world of today, like mix something like permanent or forcing people to go and be, like you said, in this type of service for 2 years, like something mandatory?
Well, it's not a question, but what about vocational schools and all those kind of educational things that we can put towards them, and maritime as well. We're talking about super yachts, we're talking about all these yachts that are coming into the country, but we don't have a workforce, we only have deckhands. But what I'm talking about maritime is that people will have an opportunity to become captains, skippers, marine engineers.
But you want this service to be mandatory.
Well, mandatory, if it could be, I would make it mandatory. But, let's start somewhere. And then if it works well, we can make it mandatory,
But you think in this time that we are living, people would accept that?
Well, it depends on how we educate them. And if we start from school, our schools, for instance, we are lacking the education that we need them to have. So we have to start from education, young, from kindergarten maybe, to, like, if you look at Japan, education starts from kindergarten, and they start teaching and they give them direction. In Seychelles, we need a kind of direction to educate our people. So it starts from school, and then we program it so that the education system gets us to that maritime, where we can have a workforce that is trained properly. And when these super yachts and all these people who come in, even hotels, when they all start to come in, we've got the workforce. We have a hotel training school. But unfortunately, as a chef, the standard needs to come up. We have Hilton, we have all these other big hotels. Manage our hotel schools.
On your program, you are advocating for health first. Why?
Ooh. Okay. When the COVID incident came in and the pandemic came, now I'm very, for good reasons, I didn't take the vaccine because when they were trying to push it out, fast track the vaccine very quickly, I thought, well, hang on a minute, vaccines usually take 10 to 15 years. But this one was fast tracked within like a very short period of time. And it wasn't a viral vaccine, it was a mRNA vaccine, which is a different kind of vaccine. And when I saw them pushing this out, especially with the WHO and our health minister here, they blocked me off the Ministry of Health website, the Facebook page. They've blocked me on that because I was trying to inform people that the vaccines also can be harmful.
Your zero tolerance for corruption pledge sounds promising.
Yeah.
Maybe briefly, what specific institutional reforms and legal mechanism will you introduce to ensure genuine accountability beyond the political rhetoric?
Okay, so we've got the ACCS. Unfortunately, I don't see it working that well because there was somebody working there who was pardoned. So it's basically made that redundant. So how do we get to the corruption? How do we, I think there's a lot of forensic auditing that's going to be needed. I think cases will have to be brought forward and looked at even with a fine-tooth comb, basically, because we know there is a lot of corruption. We need to, instead of brushing things under the table or under the carpet, I think accountability for everybody's actions, for whatever you're doing, if you're breaking the law, there has to be consequences. But when you start pardoning people because they are corrupt, you make things redundant, and then you lose hope. The people will lose hope.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Johnstone, when you look at the other candidates that has come in for this presidential race, how do you see yourself amongst them? Do you think you stand a chance to be the next president of Seychelles?
I hope I can. I mean, if not, then at least I've got a message out, and you know that party politics, we've given party politics a try. 50 years now, close to. And it's not working. So I think if you have an independent candidate and then your party politics in the National Assembly, it's not a problem. Because now they're all in the National Assembly. Let them fight each other in the National Assembly. Because what's going to happen when they do that? It's going to slow the process down. And it's going to allow the Seychelles to catch up. Because sometimes the development in this country is too much. It's too fast. And it's too big. Platte Island is a disaster. The whole island is a hotel. And Canopy, it's a huge hotel. If you took that hotel and put it on a scale and then said, right, what would it look like in Africa? Or what would it look like in another country? It would be monumental. That's a lot of pressure on the island. You know, all these developments are putting a lot of pressure on our island.
What do you think about this idea of other Seychelles people living abroad voting in this upcoming election?
Well, look, I think we need to work on that with the National Assembly. Okay? We can't just suddenly do it now because it's very tactical, what they're doing now. It's very tactical, you know. So what we need to do is that there are Seychelles living abroad who've had to live abroad by force because they were victimized in the past, and a lot of families have moved away. But they still have their heart here. Although they've made another life in another country, their heart's here because their family's here, they come and visit here, they come and, you know, enjoy their country. So they feel patriotic as well. So I don't see, if you've got a voter's roll, all the parties got their voters' roll. So whether that person is now working in another country, maybe he's a student, or the person's a student, or studying a doctorate, or whatever, he has to get on a plane and fly all the way here. So if we can make it that if you're on the voters' roll, you're allowed to vote in the country where you are. If you've got an embassy or whatever, we can do that. But we need to look at it in a more responsible way. We can't just say, all right, let's start doing that for the tactical purposes. But then it's going to be rushed, and I don't think it'll be right. So I think we need to look into it more, but I do believe that Seychelles, if you're a citizen of the country, you have a right to vote. Because it doesn't, I mean, just because you live here or live abroad doesn't make you more Seychelles than another Seychelles, you know.
Mr. Robin Johnstone, thank you so much for being on our show tonight.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup pour qu'on suive nos programmes tantôt. Quand nous speakons avec M. Robin Johnstone, qui est candidat présidentiel pour sa prochaine élection. Merci encore une fois. Nous souhaitons une bonne soirée avec SBC. Au revoir.